you all. Today we are starting the Brown Bag Seminar Series. In 2025, this is the first seminar in the invited talk. And this is the Autism Awareness Month. And we have our proud opportunity to, introduce our guest speaker today. And she will speak on an overview of neurodiversity in higher education. Dr. Mitu, she is the president and or head of research and academic studies unit, Autism Society of West Bengal, Kolkata, India. And also she is associate professor at Department of Botany in Gurudas College under the University of Calcutta. And she has, after graduation, she has joined do the postdoctoral studies and doctoral studies from both institute. And after that, she has also co-authored in many publications on autism spectrum disorders and reviewed in journals, book chapters, and also co-edited the book on Springer with Professor Shubir Dotto. He is the Dean of Calcutta University last time. And she has also actively involved in raising awareness program autism. And she is in the working as associate professor in Department of Botany. And her journey start as she is a mother of 18-year-old young adult with autism spectrum disorder, and after he has diagnosed with 3 years of age, she started learning and empowering the others as well. And the boy is very energetic and taking part in all activities I have seen. And also she did the parent training at Autism Society of West Bengal 2010, and also since been involved in the Autism Society and the spreading the news and that awareness campaign all over the world. And as Lincoln University College is working for this United Nations Sustainable Development Goal to attain by 2030, we are focusing on good health and well-being, Sustainable Development Goal 3, quality education, good health, quality of good SDG 4, and SDG 8 is decent work and economic growth, and 10 reduced inequality, and 16 is peace, justice, and strong institutions. All these goals 3, 4, 8, 10, and 16 is highly linked with autism, and you can check in the internet. Without any further delay, I want to welcome Dr. Mitu to present her talk, and we listen. Any question you can do later on. Thank you, madam.
Namaskar. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Shondip Poddar and also the Lincoln University College, Malaysia, for providing me this online platform to connect with all of you to spread the awareness about autism. And as you all know that the United Nations has designated April as the Autism Awareness Month. So on this last day of April, it is a privilege to be there meeting all of you virtually to spread autism awareness. Now, a lot of work has been done on autism in early intervention when the kids are newly diagnosed with autism. But then, like every child, kids with autism also grow and they learn. Some are in mainstream or some are in special education. And then many of those who are in mainstream, when they come into higher education, they encounter a set of uh, contradictions and challenges that they have never faced in the school life, because school is a rather sheltered or institution. But when you come to college, people assume that you are independent, you can make your own decisions. But for people with autism, some very simple things can be very hard, and it is our duty as a society, our duty as members of educational institutions, that if you can support reasonable accommodations, this manpower, this rich human manpower can be harnessed, because we've seen a lot of college dropouts from in higher education. Dr. Poddar, will you be kind enough to present my presentation? I think it will be better if you do it. So as I was saying, because I've been in higher education for more than 2 decades, and I've seen a lot of people who have um, dropped out from their classes in the first semester itself. Now this is not because that the college didn't want them or the teachers didn't want them. It was just because the systems was not there to provide the support for the students with autism. So that is the reason I picked up this topic, because all of you are associated with educational institutions that is providing an overview of neurodiversity in higher education. So uh, yes, the slides have come. Yes. So my topic, as I said, is an overview of neurodiversity in higher education. So Dr. Pothe, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, so I'm just going to read this out to you. Education makes up the foundation of modern society. The way students are treated throughout this education journey can have a huge impact on everything from the self esteem to their success later in life. But we need to remember that while everybody's brains develop similarly, no two brains functions just alike. So I'll elaborate on this. So let us come to the next slide, please. This, the human brain, is the greatest creation that God has gifted humanity and the entire world. This brain is the organ which has provided so many things to us. And like we are so different in so many aspects of our body, like our eye color might be different, our height might be different, our hair color and texture might be different. Likewise, our brains, the functioning of the brain can be also different. Just because we look similar doesn't mean that we are different. So you have heard about the term the left brain and the right brain. A lot of research has been going on this, that people, they are they liked different subjects because of their brain constitution. So this is a picture of this a person with the right brain and the left brain. And it is seen that people who are more right brained, they prefer some subjects, and people who are more on the left side of the brain more inclined to some other things. So but these are not the things that people take into account while choosing subjects for higher education. It is usually, especially in India and in Bengal, it is whatever the parent wants. And usually in parents of Bengal, they want their child to study science. I mean, it's like sort of a thing. The best people will be studying science, then the humanities, then the commerce. So there's a unsaid hierarchy in that. But not every child might like science, or not every child might like commerce. And that is why we say the term neurodiversity. And the idea is that there's no correct way for the brain to work. So we have to deal with different types of brains. So the education system should also deal with different types of education systems to provide the reasonable accommodations. Next slide, please. So now neurodiversity, we can say it's a wide range of ways that people perceive and respond to the world. And these differences are to be embraced and encouraged instead of ridiculed and laughed upon. I'll give you one example. If somebody is very happy, like especially imagine you are in a football ground, and your team, the team that you're cheering for, is winning, and then you lift up your hands and you feel very happy, you hug the other person in front of you, you jump with joy, and that is considered absolutely normal. But imagine if somebody is studying in your classroom and liking the subject so much that he or she just puts up his hands and smiles and grins and jumps about. The teachers might say this is very inappropriate behavior. But maybe this student is only expressing the joy and in understanding a very maybe a difficult subjects. So this diagram that you can see here is just showing the different brains are different. We think differently and we respond to the external stimulus differently, and that is why our responses are also different. But we are very stuck up with something that seems to be very narrow. We are not flexible. We think that some things should be normal, but normal is a relative term. The traditions maybe in America, or the traditions maybe in Scandinavian countries might be entirely different from that in the South Asian countries. For us, it might seem odd. For them, our tradition might seem very odd. So likewise, the responses that a person gives might be different. Next slide, please. Okay, now just to show like the person who termed the coin neurodiversity, it was coined by the sociologist, she's Australian, Judy Singer, and it was in the late 1990s. Next slide, please. So neurodiversity, if you see it, is a big umbrella. Under that, it comes many invisible disabilities. I'll just name a few that which many of you have heard: ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, dyslexia, dyspraxia, Tourette syndrome, or also sensory processing disorder. Learning disability also comes under neurodiversity. Next slide, please. So now this is a very famous cartoon. So if you see very carefully, you see it's an examination system. All of us are from educational institutions, and we know that we have to take examinations, and they are entirely same for everybody. Now just imagine this examiner is asking an elephant, a penguin, a monkey, a crow, and a fish, and a seal, and maybe a fox. That, and he says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. We know that it will not be possible, and we say there should be equality, but the key word should be equity instead of equality. If you see this picture, you can understand equality itself cannot ensure that everybody gets the same support. So we need to go for equity. Next slide, please. So what we are aiming for is equity in education, where we need to change some of our systems, not much, to provide reasonable accommodations. Next slide, please. So as I said, that not all disabilities are visible, and that creates a problem, especially in higher education. What we need to do, I'll just quote from the slide: we have to welcome, accommodate, and support a wider range of normal. And remember, normal is within inverted commas, and only then will we benefit from this extraordinary difference these diverse minds can bring, because normal is a relative term. Next slide, please. So what we need is reasonable accommodations. So the definition, a very simple definition, is a reasonable accommodation is an adjustment made in a system. That's here we are talking about the educational system, to accommodate or make fair the same system for an individual based on a proven need. Next slide, please. So these are the symbols which all of you must have seen somewhere or the other. These are the symbols for the different types of disabilities, and nowhere can you see a symbol for autism or invisible disabilities. Next slide, please. So if we talk about examples of reasonable accommodations, this is for across disabilities. It could be modifying work sites, having flexi time in your schedules, or it could be reassignment. It could be using assistive devices, like the people who are locomotor challenged, they have wheelchairs. The people who have visually impaired, they use braille. So likewise, people with autism can also use AACs, which will help to their communication, because autism is a communication disorder or impairment. Next slide, please. So I'm just giving you three examples. Say we're talking about writing auditions. The person or the student has a difficulty in writing because of fine motor control, and the person cannot write, but that person can use the computer. So if there was a system that people who have motor issues, people with autism or people who are locomotor challenged, if they could use a computer to type, or we have this in the examination system, that you ask the students to dictate the work to a classmate or somebody who is below your educational qualification that we have in Calcutta University, where we have a writer, especially for people who are visually impaired. But if you can provide computers to type the answers, that might be a better solution for people with invisible disabilities like autism and ADHD. Next slide, please. Now, talking about math accommodations. So for math is an abstract thing. And for many of us, we have been really memorizing math in our lower classes. And suddenly when we reach the higher education, or maybe in the higher standards like class 8, 9, 10, when we are faced with geometry, trigonometry, calculus, we find it very difficult because the concept of math is often very vague to people with learning disabilities, and especially with people with autism, because people with autism, they learn in a very concrete way. So instead of doing the chalk and talk method, which is usually done in across India, if the student is used allowed to use concrete materials to learn math, that could be very much beneficial. Or to color code or highlight keywords in the math problem, or to use the student, or to let the students use calculators or a chart for basic facts. Now the calculators in Calcutta University are used, but not the scientific calculators, but we let them use the but when I was a student, we are not allowed to use calculators. We had to have those log tables. I think Dr. Poddar will recall also. And log table, then you had to get the anti-log table, and it was very cumbersome. But now things are changing. It's not that the things are stagnant. Education system is changing, but what we need is we need to have more changes rather fast, because otherwise we'll be losing a lot of human resources. Next slide, please. So now we're talking about discussion accommodations, especially suppose somebody is going for an interview and he or she is being faced with a group discussion, and this person has a communication impairment like autism, or a person who really can't form his words, and whatever he thinks or she thinks, he can't express it clearly. So if this person is allowed to write it or type their ideas, or if the discussion notes are given earlier, because people with autism, they prefer prior information, and if you use a lot of visuals, lot of pictures, then the discussion can be very simple. It is not only for people with autism, people without autism, the so-called normal public, they can also benefit for if we have a lot of pictures. For example, I'm giving is, suppose we are trying to learn a new recipe, and if the recipe comes just as a written word, it might not seem very attractive, but it comes with pictures. Every step there's a picture. It is really attractive for every one of us. So all of us usually prefer visuals. So why not use it in the education system much more than just having written text? That will benefit a lot of students. Next slide, please. So in this slide, it just shows there is diversity. We can't deny it. We need to have equity, and only then we can go in for inclusion. But usually what happens, we jump into inclusion rather than equity. Now this slide shows that the amount of support that is needed is different for different individuals. That is what our education system should understand, that the supports, the requirements, the needs is different, and that is the reason the support systems or the reasonable accommodations need to be different too. Next slide, please. So, in one way, if we say, one way to understand neurodiversity is to think of it in human operating systems. Just because a PC is not running Windows doesn't mean it is broken. Next slide, please. So you can say that autism is not a processing error. Autism is a different operating system, because if your PC works on Linux, it will never work on Windows. But you can't say the computer or your desktop is broken. It is just a different operating system. If we just keep that in mind while designing our curriculum in educational systems, it will be very good for people with these learning disabilities or the neurodivergent group. Next, please. So the triad of ASD or autism spectrum disorder, this has been talked about a lot. The three main areas are social communication, social imagination, and social interaction. But what we have seen working with lots of people with autism, this varies with time and also with age. So it is just there. The impairments will be there for life, but if you're given the right amount of support, then the it changes. People, they become more flexible because there's a term which is known as neuroplasticity. Can I come to the next slide, please? Okay, before we come to those neurodiversity and neuroplasticity, I'm talking about Professor Temple Grandin, who is a professor of animal science at Colorado State University. She did not get any support per se from the educational system, but it was her close ones, the parents, and she herself. She was very resilient and she worked her way through and she became a professor at the Colorado State University. There is a biopic, a movie made on her too. Next slide, please. So there are people with autism in the education system themselves. So here's another example. Dr. Stephen Shore is an autistic professor of special education at Adelphi University, USA. Now these are the people, because they are in the educational system themselves, they are now advocating what needs to be there or changes that need to be there in the education system. Next, please. Now, people might argue that brains are same and brains maybe will. We should not talk a lot about differences, but MRI images, actual MRI images have shown that the function of a typical or a neurotypical child versus a child with autism is entirely different. So the working or the network is different. It has been proven by scientific instruments. Next, please. So this worldwide research on ASD suggests that autism is associated with altered functional and structural connectivity patterns of the brain. So it is a different brain wiring. Next, please. Now the very important question is, can the brain be rewired? Because if it's wiring can be rewired. We do it in our homes. So now comes the term that I mentioned earlier, that is known as neuroplasticity. And the neuroplasticity is the ability of the neural networks to change through growth and reorganization. Neuroplasticity is very much when the person is very young. So the more interventions are given when the child is young, after an early diagnosis, may be the difference between a child going to a special school or a child going to a mainstream school. But nowadays research has shown that neuroplasticity is there to the last day of our lives. Next slide, please. So if you know anybody who is an adult, maybe, and you might think that nothing can be done, but now people are saying that the scientists are saying that the new neural connections can be there throughout life. So at any point, if the right type of intervention or support is given to a person with neurodiversity, it will be beneficial. Next, please. So we can say that individuals with autism are capable of lifelong learning, provided appropriate teaching methods are used. Now, this is applicable to all of us. All of us can learn, but we must remember this is very important. If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. It is not the child who needs to be fixed, it's the system that needs to be changed and fixed so that they can accommodate the different ways by which they perceive the world. Next, please. So just see this picture. This is a classic example. Both of them are correct. The person on the right says 9, the person on the left says 6, and both of them are absolutely okay. Just because you don't have the same answer doesn't mean that you are wrong. So a certain thing can be having two different meanings or two different perspectives, and both are same. So we should be tolerant enough, flexible enough to allow these differences to happen in our education system. Next, please. So the new mantra should be celebrate neurodiversity. It is there. Even if we deny it, it is there. Like all things which are diverse, it is there. So next, please. I'll just quickly go through the slides. So we need to presume confidence when you're talking to a person, an adult maybe with autism. We should just presume that the person understands, because autism comes in, it's a spectrum disorder. So you can have people who are nonverbal, who have limited speech, or people who really talk a lot. And there are people who really talk a lot, but really what they want to say, they can't express. So there are different types of ways autism can be presented to you. So in inclusive learning, it should be accessible, and no student should be left behind because of the way they process information or respond differently to the world around them. Next, please. There are lots of papers on neurodiversity. If you just go to the net, you can see this. Next, please. Many researchers are working on that. Now there are certain people who are autistic and they have started writing books about their perspective. One very good example is Dr. Temple Grandin. She has a lot of books on autism, and one of her famous books is Thinking in Pictures. Next, please. And this is a young girl. Her name is Elizabeth Bonker, and she is nonverbal. She types instead of speaking because she can't speak. She has autism. She graduated from the Rhodes University in USA, and she has written a lot of books. Now she is the CEO of Communication for All, where she advocates for people with autism. Now, during the graduation ceremony, she was picked up, she was selected to give the graduation speech. And then she says, she was typing it and the computer was giving the voice output. And then she says, everybody should speak out, everybody should share their thoughts and emotions. Isn't it ironic that the person who is nonverbal like me is encouraging and imploring everybody in the world to speak out, give access to people to share their thoughts, their beliefs. So that is why we get different ideas. We need systems where we need to get the ideas for people from where through traditional means it is not possible to do so. Now there are a lot of developed technological developments by which we can get different outputs. Next slide, please. So you have lots of books on neurodiversity. The one on the right, that's Neurotribes. It's a landmark book by Steve Silverman, who talked about the different types of there are different like tribes of neural wiring. Next, please. So again, the person on the right, I think many of you have heard. She is Greta Thunberg, the person who is the autistic environmentalist who challenged the entire world about climate change. And the other one was whom we just spoke about, Elizabeth Bonker. Next, please. Now, people with autism are really talking about it. People who don't talk much, they're talking. So we need to go and look beyond the label of autism and see someone as special. Next, please. So now what happened is people know that people without autism, next slide please, that to promote equality and diversity in the classroom, we need to take into account people who have different types of impairments in communication. Next please. Some people talk, some people don't talk, but that doesn't mean that person can't think. Next, please. We saw the slide once again. So again, emphasizing that diversity needs equity for actual inclusion. Next slide, please. So we in India, what is happening is there's a lot of people who don't talk. And next slide, please. So they have formed a group and they are now writing. People who don't talk, they just type. And this is whom I'm talking about, the non-speaking learners. So it has gained a lot of momentum all around the world, and India is not behind. So on your right hand side, the pictures that you see, these are all pictures of young adults who don't speak at all, who are non-verbal, but they have so much to say. They have so much insight into philosophy, into different types of concepts. So now we are having webinars, which you can see in your left-hand side of your slide. There, you type your questions, and the speaker types it back. So that is what we do in virtual any webinars. We type our questions and the resource person speaks it out. So instead of just speaking it out, the answer comes in the typed form. So it's basically the same thing. You are exchanging ideas, and this has shown that people without speech, minimal speech or no speech at all, they also can contribute a lot to society. And these are the people who don't get chance in mainstream education, at least in India, because they can't speak, and that is why they have never been in special in mainstream education. So these are the people who are left behind, but we need to harness them and find ways to incorporate them in our educational systems. Next, please. uh, so we read this again earlier. Next slide, please. So next, please. So we can say that neurodiversity may be every bit as crucial for the human race as biodiversity is for life in general. So now we know, if we go back and on retrospective, we always think that many of the scientists were neurodivergent. Many of the people, they are coming out and saying that yes, I am neurodivergent. So the need of the hour is conversations around neurodiversity must go beyond merely recognizing differences within student bodies and strive to seek ways to address that difference to ensure equal and fair learning. The main mantra is equity for social inclusion. Next slide, please. So we can say we need to celebrate diversity, celebrate different types of minds. Next, please. So if there's one thing that you want to take back home, you really don't know what the other person is going through when you're talking to anybody with or without autism. Be kind always, because your tone, your gesture, your body language speaks a lot more than what you actually speak. So if you be kind to anybody, neurotypical or neurodivergent, that tone, that warmth might help that person to flourish more. Next, please. So this is an African philosophy which is Ubuntu, which is I am because we are. We as a society, if we ignore people who are marginalized because of differences in their neural wiring, we'll be really losing a lot of resources. So we need to imbibe the African philosophy Ubuntu and say that I am because we are, and take into account all differences, respect them, and also provide reasonable accommodations for them. Next slide, please. I think it is the end. Next, please. Yes. And thank you for so much for your patient hearing. And I really again thank Lincoln University College, and especially Dr. Shondip Poddar, for giving me this platform to speak about neurodiversity in higher education. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, madam, for your nice presentation. And I ask our faculty members and friends to raise any question or share their experience, please. Yes, Dr. Taslim from Indonesia. Can unmute, please?
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Sandip, and for Dr. Mitu. Thank
Yes.
you very much for your nice presentation. I'm from Indonesia, Dr. Mitu, from Mandala Waluya University. But uh, I learned so much for your presentation about autism. This is a wonderful information. So I think you are right that we must think that the autism is a different system, right?
Right.
It's different system. So, but some people with the autism got the stigma, stigmatis, yeah, inequality. So, and also, but some people also have a bad perception about the child with the autism. So can you give me a suggestion how to change uh, uh, the some people perception about the autism? I think because in my background is about the promotion, so I need your suggestion how to promote them, so we can to the same perception that so means the similar with the other child like this. and and also the second question is it is because is autism is a part of disability people, right? So I'm in the university, so what the method should uh, we prepare provide for the student with autism. So it is we need to combine all different class, or what do you think it is? Thank you very much, Dr. Mitu. Uh,
Yeah.
Prof. Sandip, thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for this excellent question. Uh, you have hit the nail on the head. That is, how do we promote it? I think the answer is we start early, and awareness is a very important part of it. People should be aware of the system when the child is very small, and the acceptance should start at home, because we have seen a lot of families who deny autism, deny that the child is disabled for life, because autism is a lifelong condition. In fact, nowadays it is talked not so much of disability, it's talked about a condition. So now disability is big business now, and there are a lot of therapy centers which promise that autism is going to evaporate following certain therapies and all that. But what happens is, with a lot of interventions, it can be managed. But that doesn't mean the child will be devoid of autism. The autistic traits will be there, but the child can adapt much better to our social norms. So, this acceptance should come from the family first, accepting a child who is a bit different. If we can accept somebody who is maybe a little short or a little tall or a little fat, so it's like that. First, the acceptance should be from the family, and the family should love and support the child, and also say that he or she is a bit different, and that is okay. It is okay to be odd. And what happens, because there's a negative stigma attached with disability, many of the parents, they feel very shy to divulge the fact that their child has autism. And that is where the child starts to feel the neglect, because everybody
Mm,
can feel and understand unspoken words. When the child feels neglected and feels that he or she is not up to the mark, he will not start flourishing. Just like a flower or a plant which blooms with water and care and nature, a child who is different, a child with any not only disability, any child, if he or she is giving the love and acceptance of the parents, then their close families, then the neighbor, he or she will bloom, and he will need to have the special interventions that are needed for his or her learning disabilities like autism or ADHD or OCD, whatever is there. So awareness among educational institutions is very important, especially in the primary section, and
mm,
in general in higher education also, and in the general public. So Lincoln University College is doing a great thing. We have been associated with this university for a long time, and we are spreading awareness. So we have papers published from this portal with on autism. So there should be more discussions. It should be very it should be normal to discuss about disability, like normal. Earlier, like, people used to think about dark color was something to be hated upon. So that has changed. Body shaming has changed. Likewise, the time will come, hopefully, where neurological differences won't mean anything. But it is the educators who need to spread the awareness, spread awareness not only among the people with disability, with the people without disability in the class. Tell the entire class that this is your classmate who is a little different. He might be hand flapping, and that is okay. There's no need to laugh or no need to bully you. And if the teachers make it very normal, this differences to be normal, then the other children without disability will learn to accept more. And bullying also has a lot of negative effect on the child, and in sometimes there have been dropouts because of bullying, especially in higher education. I hope I
Okay.
have answered your question,
Okay,
Professor.
thank you very much, Dr. Mitu. Okay,
Uh,
that's all.
and
I have a question, Dr. Mitu.
Yes.
Good evening, Dr. Mitu. Thanks for such a wonderful
question,
talk.
please.
I've always been a pediatric nurse, and I always thought children with autism will always have something, some form of disability. Now that I'm an educator, I wonder if I'll be able to see such students at the university levels. I do not know whether we have that in our country to have such good facilities like in India, but I hope someday I'll be able to see them. And maybe now I can see how I would teach them under their perspective of how they see things and how I see things. Maybe even the normal students, I should treat them that way, how when they answer questions, how I should see things at their point of view. Thank you,
Yeah.
Doctor.
Thank you so much. But to answer your questions, we now have many people in the education, higher education, who we now know are autistic. And I have my student who was undergraduate in my college. He is now doing PhD in Burdwan University, and he topped the entrance examination in Calcutta University for his post graduation. So, and he was the person who came out and said that I have autism, because nowadays you have a lot of in the net you can have a lot of questions to find out like if you're autistic or not, and some of them are dubious and some of them are correct. And this person, he went to a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and there was a lot of support, and then he accepted his condition. Nowadays people with autism, they're coming out and talking about what could have been better for them when they were in school. Now we're calling them as self advocates. The organization that my son goes to, that is Autism Society West Bengal, now provides platforms for people with autism to talk about their lived experiences. And as a partner, we had the Asiatic Society, who provided the platform for autistic people to talk about the autism. Very recently, in we had Shami Vivekananda University, who gave the platform for people with autism to talk about. They were talking about social entrepreneurship. So there are people who are entrepreneurs. So we took two people we knew from our organization. So when they went and they spoke about their, one could speak very well, the other one, she used the PowerPoint and she just read through. So we are having people with different needs in higher education. We have to be welcoming enough for them, I think.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, madam. Another
Hello,
question.
good
Yeah.
evening.
Oh,
Yes,
madam. Yes.
good evening. I'm Prof. Darina from Medical Faculty, Lincoln University College. Thank you to Mr. Chairman, Dr. Sandeep Voda, and also to the speaker, Dr. Mitu D. Malaysia Society for the Special Children is also available. In fact, one of the ministers also have the special child. So kind of active in Malaysia. So my question is, since we are educationists, I'm a medical. So if we were to provide a syllabus for this special child, is there any guideline on the syllabus or curriculum for this kind of students? Because we are at tertiary education, and probably the most critical part is diagnosing them at the early phase, and then after that primary, secondary school. But if they succeeded until secondary school, what would be the syllabus at tertiary level, at our level? Thank you very much.
Thank you for this question too. In India, we have the NIOS, that is the open system of schooling. So where different modes, it's a flexible mode for learning. So that is more for people who are so-called less support needs. they are the people who can afford that. But now what we are feeling is there are people who have high support needs, who we call severe. They can also do it, but they need to have these support systems. So what is the crux of the matter for is the support systems that we can provide the students of different varying needs. So we are presuming competence and trying to provide the needs which are different. So like in an inclusive classroom, we suppose there are 5 people with autism. There could be 5 different types of support systems needed. One maybe could just be okay with a shadow teacher. The other person could be maybe okay with a visual schedule. The other maybe could be absolutely okay with a written schedule. So their needs will determine what support needs, and of course it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of patience, which unfortunately teachers in I think every country don't have to cater to the needs of every child. So it's usually a big class and the teacher is there and has to finish the syllabus in time. But that is the reason we have those terms known as the mentor mentee system, which UGC has said. We have the tutorial system, we have the remedial system. These are for the slow learners or the people with disability. So if we can really incorporate those things which UGC in India has been advocating for so many years in the true sense, maybe we can incorporate and get the full human potential of the learners who are different. And all of us have to work about it. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and another question in chat.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yes. And Dr. Jugal from Nepal is asking that is the neurodiversity related with only autism or different types of brain function, even of normal brain function? How can it be utilized in real world?
Could you just repeat the question once more?
In the chat, madam, is the neurodiversity is related with only autism or different types of brain function, even of normal brain function?
Okay, yeah, yes, I got the question. So, if you say autism per se, autism spectrum disorder, according to DSM 5, now there were earlier different categories like autistic, Asperger's, PDD, NOS. Now they have abolished all of them and said everybody falls under autism, and under that can be different varying degrees of autism and different degrees of support systems. And the beauty is that nothing is very static. So suppose a child with a very naughty child goes to maybe a clinical psychologist and gets a car score. You can get scores, and then the score comes up as a very disabled child. It is not so that he or she cannot change, because what happens to the parents is the moment they get a diagnosis that the child is severe, and they think that nothing can happen to the child, no amount can do. But research has now shown that with the right kind of support, the right kind of affection and love that is also needed, the right kind of acceptance, people with those scores can change. And it can be vice versa too. We have people who have really done very well in mainstream school, done their post graduation, and now they feel they have nothing else to do. The only thing that they have learned is studying, and now they have shut themselves in their own rooms and not mixing with anybody, because they don't know anything else to do other than studying. And studying has a bar, and after that you really can't do anything, and that person maybe is not interested in PhD. So I have talked with people who have gone through that stage, and they said that I know nothing to do. So this varying systems are there. So you really, there is a classification for us to give the support system, but we must remember it should be very flexible. I hope that answers your question. And on top of that, you can also have comorbid conditions with autism. You could have maybe OCD. You could maybe have ADHD, and you could also have mental illness too. So what happens usually is the mental health. The person might be having severe depression, and autism, but the doctor or the psychologist, they think that that behavior or that feeling is only due to autism, not due to any mental disorders or mental illness. Now some of the mental illness can be cured. So if that medication is given to that person, maybe if the depression goes down or maybe the suicidal tendencies go down, they can perform better. So you must remember our brain is a very big thing and there's a lot of overlap. So like all of us, we can have very high blood sugar as well as very high pressure or low pressure. Likewise, people with autism can also have maybe mental illness and autism. But we must the doctors and the psychologists, it's a very thin line to understand if the behavior is due to autism or it is due to some mental illness. And with more experience, if they get help, it really supports them. So awareness is, I think, the bottom line. More awareness will create awareness and acceptance, and that can be the way forward, maybe right now.
Thank you. I think no more questions from audience. And thank you again, madam, for your nice presentation. And all of us is enjoying very much. And as Madam Supama told, Dr. Supama for nursing, that we should become equal, not equal, to deliver our education to different persons, as we cannot also touch and feel and see that disorder, because it is not the broken hand or broken leg like that. It is mental thing, and our mind is the fastest thing in the earth, which of course have different attitude and different thinking always.
Yes.
So we should be more accommodative about that. And
Yes.
thank you, madam, for sharing again the speech. And also we have our, in Malaysia, we have the National Autism Society of Malaysia. They also organize different activity in this month to raise fund for the, what you call, to do research and etc. So we also work on our university level. We just awareness, just invite you to present, and for that you are not taking any honorarium or something. And I must share the certificate of appreciation to you, madam. Kindly accept
Thank you.
the
Thank you
service
so much.
person in our Brown Bag Senior Series.
Thank
And
you.
of course, we will be happy to get more exposure and talk. As Prof. Jarina told, that some courses for, as you are running in Bengal, Autism Society is running in there.
Yes.
So we can also run some short courses with
Yes.
your
Yes.
leadership in Lincoln University College, and
Yes.
we'll be in touch with you. Our medical faculty dean and also pharmacy faculty dean, Dr. Hajina, also here. So all of us can join hands together. And Dr.
Yes.
Kasim is the research director from University Ula Mandala. So we will work together to move forward and have some active program and etc.
Yeah,
And
we look forward to it because Autism Society West Bengal already runs a ASIA accredited diploma in special education. So that is recognized by the Rehabilitation Council of India. It's a 2-year course, but we can of course design shorter courses with the collaboration with all of you. So it will be great indeed to spread awareness. We look forward to it.
thank you again, madam. So if any no other question, we can